Hi, I'm Chris, and this is my GLP-1 journal. On this channel, I share my real-world experience using GLP-1 medications like Mounjaro. I post weekly weigh-ins. I talk about what I'm learning about eating and exercise. And I also talk about the practical realities of navigating the healthcare system while trying to lose weight and improve my health. This week, I'm also going to talk about something a lot of people on these medications eventually run into: cutting through red tape. Between doctors, pharmacies, and insurance companies, sometimes getting the medication can be almost as challenging as losing the weight. This week's check-in has 3 parts. First, I'll go over the numbers for the week: weight, calories, and eating. Second, I'll talk about a new exercise experiment I talked about in my last video. I'll let you know how it's going. It's preview. It's going well. And third, I want to share what I've been learning about dealing with doctors, pharmacies, and insurance companies when it comes to these medications. Let's start with the numbers. I began the week at 241.9 pounds. I finished the week at 241.3 pounds. That's a loss of 0.6 pounds this week. Not a huge drop, but the main thing is directional. Still a movement in the right direction. If I keep moving in the right directions, I'll get where I'm trying to go. My average calories for the week were 2,061 calories per day. I'm happy with that. Based on my average of about 5,000 steps per day, I burn about 250 calories per day with my steps. That puts my net daily calories around 1,811 calories. That's well into a calorie deficit. The big behavioral win for me this week is that I tracked everything I ate for 7 straight days. I'm finding that tracking creates a helpful feedback loop for me. Keeps me aware of what I'm doing and keeps me honest. And it's good for me to know what the reality is instead of what I think I'm doing. What I think I'm doing is often proved false, but I have the facts. When I track consistently, it's much easier to stay on course. Right now, my focus isn't perfection. It's simply awareness and consistency. Now, let's talk about exercise. This week, I started something I'm calling my 2-minute exercise strategy. Now, you might think, Chris, how in the world can you get fit on 2 minutes a day of exercise? This is more about habit formation and behavioral change. Beginning on Tuesday, the first thing I did when I woke up was get on my rowing machine. The rule is very simple. 2 minutes is the minimum commitment. If I only do 2 minutes, it counts as success. But if I feel like continuing, I can go longer. So from Tuesday through Friday, I did it every morning, minimum of 2 minutes. Several days I got up around 10 minutes. I decided to do it in the morning just because obviously at work, I have no control of my schedule. I've got a busy family life, so often we have activities after work, and I'm often just really tired after work as well. So my best chance of being consistent with exercise is link it to getting out of bed. That's a behavioral strategy where you have something you do every day and you link something to it. So when that alarm goes off, the first thing I do when I get out of bed is I walk over to my rower. I've got the shoes I wear when I'm rowing right next to it. I put them on, get on my rower, row for 2 minutes, and then I've won at 2 minutes. The habit is alive. I am rowing, and then I do what I feel like. The idea is not to push myself. The idea is to build the habit. Now, what surprised me this week, the amount of exercise was modest, but I got sore this week. What I'm finding, especially at the age of 60, is when I do something, in the past I've done swimming, or if I do something like rowing, where you're working every muscle in your body. I think rowing works about 85% of the muscles in your body. You're probably going to be sore. And it's different it's a unique kind of soreness when it's a whole body soreness. It's kind of an ache that goes through your whole body. It almost feels a little bit like the flu. So I think it's good to slowly increment into that. So this week was a great move in the right direction. And actually, I think it worked to my benefit to keep that soreness down, as opposed to going a full 30 minutes and really struggling the next day trying to recover. Let's see. Let me see where I'm at in my script. So starting small is actually a really good idea, not just for habit forming, but also for moving into exercise, not overdoing it. And you also want to prevent injury. Nothing's worse, especially at the age of 60, than injury. Then you're not going to be exercising. And as you get older, recovery can be slower to come by. So I have a priority on preventing injury. I'm not going for the max. So far, so good. I would call that a big success. First thing in the morning, Tuesday. I started on Tuesday through Friday. We're off to a good start. I'm going to keep going, and I plan to make a separate video focused on this experience in the middle of next week once I've completed 7 days. All right. So because after only 1 week, I'm already seeing how powerful a simple 2-minute rule can be for building consistency. Now I want to talk about something that doesn't get discussed very much in GPO1 videos, the logistics of actually getting the medication. Over the last several months, I've learned that taking these medications isn't just about injections and weight loss. It's also about navigating a 3-way system between your doctor, your insurance company, and your pharmacy. And that system can break down in a lot of places. Early on, I wanted to stay on 5 milligrams instead of moving up to the next dose. But my insurance required the dose increase. So my doctor had to get approval. But my doctor sent the prescription into the pharmacy without getting the insurance approval. So when I got to the pharmacy, the prescription was messed up. Called the insurance company. They said my doctor had to call for an exception. I had to get hold of my doctor, which takes a couple days. Doctor had to send it into the insurance, where it takes a couple days. Then the prescription, once the insurance company got back to my doctor, then the doctor had to get the prescription to my pharmacy, and then my pharmacy doesn't keep it in stock. There's so much demand for Mounjaro, and the insurance companies are so strict about it, they don't let you refill for exactly 28 days. So you can't come in on the 25th day and get the prescription refilled, but you need it soon after that 28th day because you need to have it for your next injection. Anyway, when I went back in, then they had to order it. Then it took a couple days for it to come in. So I missed taking my medication for a week, and I put on a few pounds in the process. So what I've learned is that I need to go to the pharmacy in person. It helps to do it in person. It's hard to get them on the phone, quite frankly. Several days before I need the next box. And then I ask them to order it. But the thing is, as I said, you can't order too early. And there was a time where I ordered it too early. They said it was ready. I went to pick it up. And they said that will be $1,200. And of course, I almost had a heart attack. But then, I waited until I said, I'm not going to pay $1,200. I'll just have to wait till this window is over. And so I came back after the 28-day windows, picked it up, and then it was the normal price. So this is getting to be a long story. So how that applies to this week is I went to the doctor. My weight loss has been slowing down, stalled. I got as low as like 237, but then it started creeping back up into the 240s. My doctor agreed that we should move up from 7.5 milligrams to 10 milligrams. I went to the pharmacy ahead of time, made sure the prescription was being fulfilled, but I didn't know the prescription was still for 7.5 milligrams. So what happened is my doctor accidentally sent the prescription to the mail order pharmacy that I work with, even though the whole time I've been getting it from this local pharmacy, and for my insurance, I'm required to. So I had to call my doctor. I went ahead and took the 7.5 milligrams because this process can take a week or more. I don't want to go off the medication for that long. And so then I've got a couple weeks left to go on 7.5 milligrams, but the next one should be, fingers crossed, 10 milligrams. So you just have to be really proactive. So the big lesson I'm learning is this: with GLP medications, you really have to become your own refill manager. Insurance companies are strict because the drugs are expensive. Pharmacies often aren't able to keep them in stock because of high demand. Doctors' offices are very busy. Sometimes they send prescriptions to the wrong place. Sometimes they don't send them. To make things even more confusing, I've discovered that the people working in all three places, insurance, doctor's office, and pharmacies, sometimes misunderstand how the coverage works. I've called into my insurance company and talked to representatives who clearly didn't understand how it worked. In those cases, I've simply hung up and then called back in to get another representative. That can happen at pharmacies too. Sometimes you're talking to a 16-year-old clerk at the counter who came from high school to work part-time, and understandably, they're not up on Blue Cross and Blue Shield health insurance. So if I have to, I ask to speak to the pharmacy to make sure we're getting it right. So if something doesn't sound right, double check it, because you're going to get a lot of wrong information, even from people who should really know the right answer. So the system can be surprisingly complicated. So if you're on a GLP-1 medication, one practical tip to give is stay proactive, confirm your prescription, confirm your dose, confirm the pharmacy, and check a few days early to make sure the medication has actually been ordered, because the biggest risk sometimes isn't the medication, it's the handoff points between doctor, pharmacy, and insurance. And every one of those handoffs is a place where things go wrong. All right, that's my update for the week. If you relate to the things I'm talking about here, consider joining my school community. A lot of like-minded people just like you and me who are getting honest about their need to get healthy, lose weight. GLP-1 is making a big difference. We need a place where we can talk confidentially and openly and safely about this journey. And you can do things on my GLP-1 Uncensored support group. It's uncensored in the sense that you can talk about anything related to GLP-1s. It's a safe place to do so. A lot of people having great success that'll help you out, support you. We want to help you be successful, and we want to learn from the things that you're doing right. Look for that in my video description. Remember, take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, nobody else will. See you in the next one.